Hello, everyone. You're listening to week 17 of Monday Night Chats with Dazz. And I hope that this week around, at least, that there is less in terms of trolling. But for anybody that caught it, and I think I only have one listener right now, but, or maybe it's just me that's listening, but for anyone that plays this back or comes in late, pretty much last week, I don't even know what happened. I think I've learned from that rather than giving out the Hangout code to anyone that's pops into the chat or who's listening, I'll have to just have them email next time. And hi, Craig Gaddis. It was nice having you on last week as well. But yeah, I didn't expect to see someone come in and just randomly troll the chat altogether. But this week, like most weeks, I don't really have a particular topic of discussion. I'm up for discussing whatever anyone who pops into the chat wants to discuss, or if you want to do like a question and answer session, I'm fine with that as well. One thing that's been permeating the news like the last, I'd say, day or so is the whole stock market ordeal. And we know that there's always speculations on the stock market. And you have people always saying that this is the year that it's going to happen. But so far, since 2008 or so, we haven't really seen the same pattern. But I find it interesting that the media is really making a big deal out of this. And it probably is just fear-mongering, but it does make me wonder. I see Craig Gaddis said I'm finishing eating dinner, however I am listening. No, it's totally fine. I hope that you enjoy your dinner. What are you eating for dinner, if you don't mind me asking? But aside from the stock markets, I've really have not been keeping up with too much current news, just because in my personal life things have been really busy because senior year of college is by far the busiest, and trying to finish my capstone for my graduation and all, and just the weather too. Like, at least here in the Midwest, we've been getting a lot of snow. Hi, Josh S. I see that he popped in as well, and I see that Craig Gaddis said London broil and potatoes and salad. Hi, Nick C. And as more of you guys start to join me, I was going to say as well that I am looking for moderators. For those who would be interested in moderating, just let me know. But hopefully in the coming weeks, we will have less trolling. I think someone suggested to me after the stream that usually sometimes people end up hacked when they put out their code, and random people who wouldn't usually like watch the stream just come in and look for streams that are open for the code. So maybe it was one of those flukes where people took advantage of it who would usually not care for the channel. I don't necessarily know if it was a targeted attack. It could have been. I mean, we were talking about voice-to-school technology, and I was just about to ask Craig a question when suddenly that person like kicked him off and Neil's off as well. Oh, Nick C said, I'm a junior in college. Can't wait till I'm done. And let me put the chat up on the screen for everyone to see real quick. And that's really cool. What are you studying? Okay. Yeah, what are you studying, Nick? I couldn't remember your name because I was looking at the chat for a second, then I looked away. But I see Nick asked, what's your major study? I'm just curious. Feel free to not answer if you're not comfortable. My major study is sociology. I used to be a biology pre-med major. I switched because after a period of time, I felt like I wasn't really as interested, at least in the field of medicine, like I thought. And I see that Nick C said criminal justice and a minor in psychology. That's a good combination. Are you planning on like going into law enforcement after you graduate? And I don't know like what I'm going to do post graduation really. I mean, I'm looking at all kinds of fields. Sociology can tie into so many different things. It doesn't really have a particular field of interest. And I see that, I mean, field that it directly ties into. I see Josh S. said it seemed really random and not the classic conspirator trolls. It could have been targeted, though. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, Josh. It was kind of random. Like, the person really wasn't focused on making fun of conspiracy theories, per se. If it was targeted, I mean, it was one really weird, sick gang stalker because, or just weird troll. But then again, I mean, trolls do love the shock value. And I see Nick C said, yeah, a cop or something like that. I hope all goes well for you, sis in Christ. Thanks, Nick. And same to you on going into becoming a cop in the future. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think next time that I want to do the dream stream. I can't remember whose idea it was, but I do want to do that and have whoever wants to call in. But I'm thinking, like I said, we'll have to do it through like email or something like that. That way we can prevent people from just like randomly dialing up and showing that, because I think when I went back and I looked at the Google Hangout little thing that shows me like who entered the chat, who exited, I saw after I ejected that first person that someone new kept popping in, and I was so busy looking at the chat that I didn't pay attention to who the other user was. So I wasn't unable to block them when I went back to block people. Hi, Andrew C. And sorry, guys, I'm just like, that I went quiet for a minute. I was just like looking over at this news. And I guess I have my screen share on so you guys can see this, but I was looking at fossils and amber may provide link between ancient arachnids and modern spiders. And I see Nick C said, yeah, the last troll is disturbing. And Andrew's my twin, LOL. Andrew? Oh, I see. You guys are, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, cool. It's nice to know that I have twins in the stream. Actually, my younger sister and brother are twins, so it's interesting. Like to meet another pair of twins. But yeah, guys, if any of you guys, I'm sorry if I'm like just like thinking right now, but if there's anything particular you want to bring up or talk about, just put it in the chat. I don't really have any topic of discussion on my mind, but I figured I'd just do this stream and leave it more of a Q&A for now, because I don't know, I've been really behind on just everything. Like I had a exam today that I like cram studied for, and I even ended up turning it in pretty late. So I see Nick C said it's hard finding good article stories to go along with your videos. I know Jason A's channel must be up all day. Yeah, it is hard finding like good articles to make videos on, because I mean there's a fine line between like fake news, propaganda pieces, and I mean, while I don't trust the mainstream media's narrative that they push, at the same time, a lot of alternative websites that post news sometimes, I'll go to check and see if I can find the news anywhere else, and I don't, and it makes me skeptical that someone didn't just make up a story. So it can be frustrating because I don't like having to always use like CNN or, you know, obviously very mainstream, very biased news pieces. But at the same time, some of the alternative news sources, if I can't find it verified other places, that's where like the problem comes in. But Jason A's channel, I mean, he does keep up on current events all the time. It's been a while since I've watched one of his videos. Hi, Ashley Dixon. I see that she said, how do you feel about Disney and other TV shows for kids? As far as Disney goes, before obviously coming to the truth, I thought nothing of Disney, but I always did think it was weird how it seems like from a young age, like you have preteens in relationships, like emotional relationships, but after you learn about all of the MK Ultra and just you look at Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, all of those children that are now adults, I guess child stars who were involved in the Mickey Mouse Club, and you see kind of how they turned out. It does seem like Disney is a breeding ground for mind control of children, sexualizing children, even the Disney princesses. When you go to analyze what messages behind each of their story, it does seem like they're pushing a lot of growing kids up way too fast. And I found it interesting too because the average age of a Disney princess is like 14 years old, but they just seem a lot older to me because of the situations they're in. Josh has said, White Rabbit just uploaded 2 new vids like 10 minutes ago, that he is going to be back on YouTube with a new format and content, so that's cool. That's really good to hear. It is always nice, like when people, they take their breaks for whatever reason being and they come back, and especially when they're able to like start fresh again, or they have like a reinvigorated from their break, because sometimes you just get so burned out on doing like truth videos or just putting out content all the time. Some people, they have, well, everyone has a life outside of YouTube, I would hope, but and then sometimes you just hit a dead end, sometimes creatively, on what to cover, or you just need more time to go closer to God. So glad to hear that he's back. And I see Josh S said, yeah, I think he took a break for a while because some of this stuff can be toxic. It definitely can be, because, I mean, if you spend all of your time like looking into especially like symbolism and the end of the world and all of the ways in which everything is being tampered with, while knowledge is power, and while, as in another stream, ignorance can be deadly, as some brought up, I think like a couple weeks ago, there is that bliss of it, because when you don't have to like think about how terrible everything is, it does make you happier. And sometimes people become depressed off of this stuff, or they even lose touch with reality. Nixie said, anyone knows what happened to Puritan Pictures? All this stuff probably got to him, unfortunately. Yeah, I wondered about that too, because I remember when he disappeared, and it was just out of nowhere, because I was starting to really get into his videos and watch a lot of them, and then suddenly I noticed that I didn't see videos from him for a while, and then I don't know if it was a major channel that brought it to my attention that he had been taken off YouTube, but I do remember when he disappeared because it was so sudden. You're right. It could have gotten to him, or what could have happened too is he could have been threatened by people, because it seems like there's a pattern of people who expose the truth. Sometimes you have people who will, whether they work for like the government or they're just like individual trolls, or even witches, they'll message the person over and over, threatening to harm them, their family. And some people, they have families that they have to think about. And people get scared and they stop putting out videos after that. Craig Addis said, I don't have a life outside of YouTube. I cannot stop going down rabbit holes. I hunting a wabbit. I like the way you put it, Craig. And I mean, it is really exciting, like when you begin going down rabbit holes. I think I remember you saying, either when I had you on last week or maybe the week before, that you were relatively newer to this, like how you came into a lot of this, like I think a year ago or so. When you're new to it, yeah, you cannot stop like going down all those rabbit holes, because it's just so exciting, all the information that you look into. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been looking at a lot of this stuff for like a good, now like 2011, it'll be 7 years at the end of the year. I guess there are times where I definitely take a break because, I mean, a lot of it can get to you. I mean, maybe I may not take a break from uploading videos. I think the longest I've gone since I've been uploading videos since 2014 was 2 weeks, and I felt guilty about it. But as far as like watching truth or content, I might take breaks just because some of it can be overbearing or just overwhelming, especially when you have a lot of other personal issues going on in your life as well. I see that Josh S said, I've heard about Puritan Pictures, but don't know too much. Yeah, he had really good content on his channel, but unfortunately, and he got a lot of subscribers pretty fast too. Like, he was doing really well, and I was kind of surprised when he just kind of left out of nowhere. Nick C said 2012. Oh, I skipped over his first comment. Nick C said, oh yeah, you're right. He probably wanted to protect his family. I remember him showing videos of his beautiful family. Yeah, people, I mean, when you have a family, especially like if you're a parent, you know, you're a mother or father, when you have little kids, you really want to think about them. For people that like don't have kids of their own, like me, I mean, I do think about like my nuclear family, but right at the moment, I don't really worry too much about people harming. I don't know. I don't think too much about it. I haven't really been threatened except by a few people that I believe just troll that are talking about like witchcraft. But besides that, I don't really get people threatening me in any way. But I feel like when you reach a certain level and you get as noticed as certain people do, like you're a bigger truther, especially, you're going to attract a lot of negative attention to you. And some people do it out of just, I think some people that troll, honestly, they're not even government agents. They're not even witches. I think some of them just have severe mental issues as well. Because that can also, like, people can, for whatever reason, grow an attachment to you just off of listening to your content and then stalk you and want to like bother you for that alone. So I've definitely had experiences with people that did grow way too attached to me through my videos, and you know, they wouldn't let up on messaging me and contacting me and following me everywhere. Like, I learned my lesson about keeping a certain amount of distance between my videos and my personal life, because I think that's another problem for some people too. And I think a lot of truthers do a good job, and that's another reason why so many of us either don't show our faces or don't put out our full names, because when you put everything out on the internet, especially when you're talking about issues that are considered controversial, you're more likely to be targeted and people are more likely to find you. Not as if people can't find you and dox you, because that's a possibility as well. But I do believe in keeping a healthy distance between your online business and your personal life as well. And Nick C said 2012 was when my mind was blown. Is that when you woke up? Craig Gaddis said, year and a half. And for me, it started with 9/11, then Flat Earth, and then Bible changes. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, it happens so fast. You get into one topic, and the next thing you know, you're into a totally different topic, and it gets really deep from there. Hi, Field Marshal Nay. Craig Gaddis also said, yes, I saw some secular changes like Oscar Mayer to Oscar Mayer. First change for me. It's interesting. I didn't notice the Oscar Mayer change, but I believe you on that. Around 2012, maybe. Oh, and I see you saying hi to everyone. Craig Gaddis also said, my typing speed has maybe doubled in a couple of years. Thank you, you too. Field Marshal Nay said, I know you through your book, but I won't tell anyone your info. Yeah, I mean, Field Marshal Nay, when I'm talking about like some of these people, like, not talking about you, I'm talking about particular instances with people, which hopefully I'm hoping they're not listening now, because I wouldn't want to like upset them, but I do have a situation where like there is someone who is severely attached to me, and they did find me through YouTube back when I first started in 2014, and this guy has he knows my first and last name. He knows where I live, everything. Like, he's told me this. He's shown me proof that he knows it all. And yeah, this guy he won't stop. Like, I mean, I did get him to kind of cool off just because I had to get really. There was a lot of factors that went into the situation. I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to like anger the guy because he knows who he is. But um, yeah, I'm hoping that the situation will end soon enough because 4 years of, well, 3.5 years of stalking is enough stalking to last a lifetime. And hi Pilgrim's Progress, and I see that he said any guests tonight. Actually, no, it's just a Q&A session right now, or like whatever you guys want to talk about. This is why it's so random and unorganized. Andrew C. said, thank you, YouTube. I would never have been awake if it wasn't for YouTube. Same here. Craigata said, I don't buy Oscar Mayer, though it's generic, knockoff, not as good as the original brand name. Nick C. said, dazzling one, were you drawn to Christ through YouTube, or did you grow up a Christian? I actually grew up as a Christian, you could say. In my like really early years, like when I was like before I was 3 years old, neither of my parents were Christians, but my mom had been raised Christian because my grandfather was a pastor. He passed away before I was born because he passed when my mother was 10. So I never knew either of my grandfathers because my grandfather on my dad's side was an alcoholic and he died from I think getting a bad liver from it all. But um, even though my parents weren't Christians, my grandmother on my mother's side always like prayed for my mother. And eventually, when I was about 3, my mom, I'm like not able to talk today. My mom, she gave her life back to Christ, and she began teaching me about God and Jesus. And I had already been learning from my grandmother because like she would take me to church. So I kind of grew up from like I'd say 4 years old onward as a Christian. And so when I came to YouTube and I learned about all this stuff, it was easier for me to accept a lot of the spiritual stuff because I had my faith. But I'll also say it helped too because I had some negative church experiences that led me to question like organized religion and the way churches were structured. So, yeah, sorry for that long explanation. I hope that made sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like rambling out a bunch of words. Pilgrim's Progress said, I pray that the stalker stops and gives up in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for the prayer. That really, really helps you guys. I really want this situation to end. It's really nerve-wracking. Like I feel like I have PTSD from it, honestly. Like I don't maybe one of these days when like I'm 30 and everything is the dust is settled, I can talk about it in detail, but right now things are pretty tense. Josh S. said, what do you think about the Super Bowl halftime performance? They sat there. Oh, sorry. I'm not reading right at all today. I'm not speaking or reading clearly today. They say there was more subliminal messaging in the commercials than the show. I feel like that too to some extent. I mean, I think the subliminals in the Super Bowl halftime performance were definitely downplayed. It really had a big throwback feel to it as well. You didn't see a lot of over the top. I mean, the lyrics obviously were kind of, you know, hypersexual, but the way the women were dressed wasn't like the same as previous years. And there wasn't a lot of like blatant Satanism like the halftime show with Madonna that year in 2012. But one thing I did find interesting is that the Patriots, although they lost, the score was frozen for them at 33. And at least where I was at, Central Time, that was 8:46 p.m. And I thought about how that would have been 18, which, you know, using numerology, which would have been the triple sixes. But I don't know if that has any significance at all. But I did find it interesting for sure. But the halftime show, there was nothing that really stood out too much to me. Although analyzing like halftime shows and music performances, it's not my biggest strength unless there's something really obvious like they're dancing on a checkerboard floor, they're wearing like one eye on their clothing. Hi, Castray John HD TV. Josh S said it seems like when you become a truther, YouTubers, you automatically attract all sorts of stalkers for some reason. Yeah, I mean, it does come with the territory for sure, because there's a lot. First off, I think there's like a couple reasons. You got the internet trolls that just like hate all conspiracy theories. They think we're all conspiratards and they want to stalk us to make us feel stupid. Then you got the government trolls that are there to like intimidate us off of YouTube. And then sometimes you get people that are legit lonely because they don't have anyone to talk to about the truth, and they become attached to you because they feel like you're someone that they feel safe with. And then that's why I think that's what happened in the last situation, is what happened with the guy that I've been dealing with for 3 years, because a lot of his attachment did come from him feeling lonely and feeling like no one understood him and all. And he felt like I understood him. And back then I was way too trusting of talking to people off the internet. So we did get close enough where I did like learn his real first name, he learned mine, and that's how it got to the point where we're at today. But I think that's one reason why it happens. Field Marshal Nay said, I'm an alcoholic too. Oh, I'm going to pray for you about that you get delivered from that, Field Marshal Nay. Nick C said, oh, same, wow, sad to see. Unsaved family. Yeah, it is like sad when you have unsaved family. I mean, I'm thankful that my mother got saved, but my dad, he's not saved at all. And Nick C also said, though I became a Christian in my late teens. I'm glad to hear that, though. Pilgrim's Progress said, and sorry guys if I'm like scrolling past a bit, I invited a few to the chat tonight. I invited the greatest of these is love. Thank you for inviting people to the chat, Pilgrim's Progress. Craig Addis said, many people that I know from Cat's Aya channel are having car parts change, houses look different, rabbits are appearing and disappearing. It's really interesting. Pilgrim's Progress said, have you heard of Mia's new pair of glasses? No, I haven't. Is that a channel? Is that a show? And Craig Addis said, how far are these supernatural changes going to go? It could be really, really Twilight Zone material. Pilgrim's Progress said, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, haven't for a while. I think in pro sports, they plan who wins. I totally agree with you there. I think it's predetermined. Craig Addis said, I kind of remember Mia's new glasses. Was that on Aya's David? I see he's replying back to Pilgrim's Progress. And I see he said she was on her own channel. She shut her channel down temporarily due to inappropriate emails. Andrew C said, yeah, like Katy Perry's Dark Horse performance at the Grammys years ago, like, wow, loud and proud. No hiding it. Yeah, I remember that performance. It was so satanic. Like, a lot of the halftime shows have just been blatantly satanic, but I feel like this halftime performance was definitely... I'm not saying there wasn't any satanic elements, because I don't trust anything that comes out of the mainstream music industry, but they really downplayed it. So, like, we didn't see anybody dancing around with very blatant pagan symbolism, at least. And I see Pilgrim's Progress is saying to check her channel out. I'll have to check out her channel, though. But thanks for bringing her up. Castray John HGTV said, hi, Dazzling. How old are you? Keep up the good work. I'm 23 years old. Field Marshal Nay said, I've suggested that you read stories before, but perhaps you should consider reading Bible passages or biblical stories. You have a great voice. Thanks. I mean, to be honest with you guys, I feel like when I read aloud, for some reason, my mind moves faster than my mouth, so I end up tripping over words that I know how to pronounce within my mind. So for me, reading aloud is kind of a nightmare. That's why I'm glad that I figured out how to edit videos, because if you go listen to like my first few videos that I did, like the first year, I didn't have a microphone for one thing, and I didn't know how to edit videos, so there's a lot of like errors. But Thanks for the compliment, though, but I mean, if I felt like I was more confident in my ability to read aloud without messing up my words and stumbling, and people were willing to listen, then I would be fine doing like audiobooks and even reading Bible passages. But at the time being, I think I'm not really cut out for that. Andrew C. said Benjamin Watson preached the gospel at the Super Bowl breakfast, but of course I heard of it through a Christian channel also. Acts 17 Apologetics. Great channel. Oh, I think I know what YouTube channel you're talking about, and that's really interesting, though. I'm glad, though, that someone did actually preach at the Super Bowl breakfast because, I mean, even though, I know there's all the symbolism and we know that they do a lot to keep God out of, mainstream sports and a lot of mainstream activities, it is good whenever you can see someone preach. Pilgrim's Progress had some good Mandela Effect channels I discovered. Recall Vector, Latina for Christ, the greatest of these is love. Thank you for the suggestion. Craig Gaddis said, if they time travel me from 57 to 30 dazzling, will you marry me? LOL. I guess that would depend on if I actually knew you well. And what the circumstances were. Okay, sorry guys, I lost track of the chat. Pilgrim's Progress said, Mia's new pair of glasses is a truther channel. She shut her videos down due to personal attack. She still has some vids up in her backup channel, my new pair of glasses. I'll have to look up her channel because especially like I don't know, like there definitely are more female truthers. It's just I don't come across too many. And I think the number has grown in the recent years, but it's always good to see like other females doing truther videos. I love truther videos by male truthers because that's like the bulk of channels that I watch. But it is good when you see like at least for me when I see other women doing videos. Craig Gaddis said truthers are really getting attacked, but porn and vile things are just fine for YouTube. Yes, I totally agree with you there. Yeah, YouTube has like porno on it, but yet somehow you have truthers who get demonetized or even their videos removed off of YouTube, but you can still somehow have naked body parts on YouTube where children can find them. Pilgrim's Progress said Newsy Cable Channel has a new series called Truthers. First episode, they try to debunk those who go against false flags. Wow. That's funny. That's really funny to me. I mean, the fact that they are now like addressing truthers on mainstream media platforms because I think more the general population are giving certain what people would call conspiracy theories. They're giving them time and actually trying to look into them themselves and realizing that not everything adds up what the mainstream media says. Because even people that I know in my personal life, like on my Facebook account, people that would have called, things that we cover as truthers, conspiracy theories and made fun of it, they're even now starting to share posts by truthers and they're beginning to question just basic everyday news narratives. And I think that's amazing that that's happening. And that's why the mainstream media is so quick to try to debunk it and make fun of us. And you have Taco Bell making commercials, making fun of the Illuminati and Pizza Hut doing it and all these other big commercial companies to kind of try to make it seem like that's where our focus is when reality, I mean, I think most truthers that are taking this stuff seriously aren't focusing on triangles. Hi, Kevin Arthur Zyminski, and I see you said, God bless you, Dazzling One. Say what you feel. It is who you are. Pilgrim's Progress at Extreme Reality Channel is a good channel, too. Thanks for throwing out all of the channel suggestions. And Nick C said Benjamin Watson went hard. I love the emojis, too. And Pilgrim's Progress also said Vincent Rhodes covers Flat Earth pretty good. Field Marshal Nay said, I would listen. You have a really soothing voice. I don't mean this in a perverted way. I listen to a lot of male narrators with great voices. Thanks. I mean, like I said, my problem is that I trip over my words too much, so that's why I don't think I would pursue it. And for every person that tells me that I have a nice voice, there's always someone that comes along and tells me that my voice hurts their ears, so I guess to each his own, right? I see that Andrew C. said godly women are hard to find out here. The struggle is real. Proverbs 31 women. I mean, yeah, it's hard to find a godly woman for men, and it's hard to find a godly man for women. I mean, it's nice, like on the internet, how we can all talk to each other, but I think when you step outside of your house, wherever you live, it is hard to find just people in general who are really serving God and they're not just doing like the Sunday, Wednesday thing or the Sunday thing where they go to church, they're sane at church, they leave church, they're acting crazy, they go back, they get saved on Sunday again, they go back and they act crazy again. I mean, that's most people I know. They're all Christians. They all say they love Jesus, but they don't really know what the Bible says at all. So it's kind of sad. I think that's the divide between, biblical Christianity and cultural Christianity. And Craig Addis said dazzling, so you're saying there is a chance, like 1 in a million. And I see citing dumb and dumber. And I see Nick C said Craig is a clown. Yeah. Field Marshal, and they said, you have mentioned you're part Mexican. Do you speak Spanish? Yeah, I get that question a lot, like when I tell people about my ancestry, because, my dad's Mexican, my mom's black, so unfortunately, despite being half Mexican, I don't speak Spanish fluently. I mean, I know some Spanish from just like living by my dad, hearing him on the phone, but for the most part, it's his secret language. I wish I actually was fluent in Spanish, but I'm not. Or if I was, I'd be making videos in Spanish. And it is my mission if I live long enough to learn Spanish, but hi AMR 421RA. And Josh S said, I have an idea. I really like the True Scary Story channels on YouTube, but instead of having True Scary Stories, it'd be True Supernatural Unexplainable Stories. I think it would be great for that. That's a really good idea. I mean, I really do like covering a lot of cryptozoology and paranormal topics. I mean, it's hard because it's like it is a truther channel, but I also like to, I don't know, it's hard. I don't know what to call it. I've talked to some truthers before, like outside of YouTube, and they told me I don't really consider you a real truther channel because you kind of like cover news. It's like watching an episode of like one of those, kind of like you were talking about, like when I cover cryptozoology topics, but I don't know. I like to cover a little bit of everything, but that is a good idea, Josh S. For sure. I mean, I love talking about Mothman and Bigfoot and Men in Black and everything in between as well. Craig Gaddis said, yep, I was a class clown in school when I didn't play hooky. Armando Beck said, whatever happened to Russian Vid's channel? What are your thoughts about his material? He was, in my opinion, a polarizing truther, but had some pretty good content. I didn't know that his channel disappeared. I used to watch his videos like a couple years ago quite frequently. I thought he had some pretty interesting content. I know there was a lot of back and forth between him and other truthers at some points in time. I mean, I'll never get all of the truther drama that goes on. I stay out of it. I mean, I like different channels, some of them that don't like each other. And I'm always nervous that that when I talk about certain channels in a positive light, that channels that dislike them will get upset with me for saying great things about them, or vice versa. I would never badmouth the channel even if I didn't like the channel. But I did like his content though, for sure though. Nick C said I'm a disgrace to Puerto Ricans. LOL, I'm fake Spanish. What? I don't get that comment. Are you saying like you pretend to speak Spanish and you're Puerto Rican. And I see that Craig Gaddis said Russian vids disappeared for a couple of months, but he is back about 2 months now. It doesn't put out many videos like he used to. Maybe he was taking that break. And I see Andrew C. said, too much pressure to know Spanish. Like, yeah, there is a lot of pressure to know Spanish. For sure. When you're like Hispanic, whether you're fully Hispanic or half Hispanic, the first question you get after people find out your ethnicity is, do you speak Spanish? And you say no. Everyone always tells me, I bet I speak more Spanish than you. And then they talk about how they took Spanish 1 and 2 and 3. I took Spanish 1, 2, and 3, but I didn't do AP Spanish. But yeah, there is that pressure to speak Spanish. My dad's always telling me how I need to know Spanish, even though he never did teach it to me. And I do my best, but he's like, you know, Spanish is now like the second language in the United States. You really need to know it. And it really would be helpful on job applications for sure. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, have you ever made a video showing yourself? I actually have not made a video showing myself and put it up on this particular channel before. I mean, I've made videos, obviously, where I was on camera, but I haven't uploaded them to this YouTube channel. But I'll say this, though. In another month or two, I'll say early April or late March, I probably will, for the first time, get on camera. But it's going to be more because I wrote a couple books, and one of them I'm planning to publish in the middle of April, and I want to be able to come on camera and talk about it to you guys, and I'm really terrified to be on camera. I really am camera shy. Like, you guys will notice that I look nervous and scared. But I'll come on and talk to you guys, but I'm going to admit it's going to be awkward because it's been like a 4-year affair for those who've been following the channel since its inception of not being on camera and being faceless. But at the time being, no, I haven't made any videos showing myself, but I do get asked that a lot since I am a faceless YouTuber. Field Marshal Ney said, yeah, you should do narrations of stories. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but your voice is great. Thanks, Field Marshal Ney, for buttering me up for the night. I'm just kidding. Craig Gaddis said, is back. Okay, see, I read his comment earlier. And he said, RV Truth is the new name for Russian Vids channel. After this stream, I'll have to, look back at the chat, and I'll have to go and subscribe to his new channel, because I had no idea that he had disappeared. And Field Marshal Ney said, you don't even try with writing or background music, but your voice is super comfy. Thanks. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm soft-spoken. I don't know, my whole family's soft-spoken for some reason, so it's probably where I get it from. But for some people, being soft-spoken is one of the most annoying things. As much as people on YouTube tell me how nice it is, how nice my voice sounds, in real life it can be torture because people are always telling me, what? What did you say? Can you speak up? And I'm always getting asked to speak up because they don't hear me. Nick C said, I'm Puerto Rican but don't know Spanish. Well, don't feel bad. I mean, like I said, I'm half Mexican and I don't know Spanish either. AMR421RA said, do you watch Truth Unveiled 777's YouTube channel? Yes, I've watched some of his videos from time to time, and they're pretty interesting. Josh S. said, LOL, I'm actually a quarter Puerto Rican and a quarter Italian, and the rest being white, German, etc., but look entirely white. I'm actually taking Spanish in school, but not good at it at all. Well, I mean, you have a cool mixture going on there, and Spanish classes do help. The writing and spelling part of it was the worst for me. I actually enjoy the speaking portion better. Field Marshal Ney said, I speak English with an accent, but my Spanish grammar is not great. I mean, my Spanish grammar, as far as writing it, it's been a long time since I've written in Spanish, because I took Spanish 3 sophomore year, so I'd probably be bad with the grammar too. Pilgrim's Progress said, I just typed Russian vids in a YouTube search and apparently he was in a live stream 2 weeks ago on a different channel, so it seems he may be putting up vids under a different name. Craig Addis said, I've seen you dazzling somewhere, right? Was it on another site? I'm not sure. Like, seeing a video or seeing my username on something? Seen. Like, are you saying you've seen a picture or something? I'm really confused about seeing. But as far as, like, pictures go, like, if you type in the name of my channel and any pictures of any women come up, none of them are me, if that's what anyone does in Google's. But if you were talking about like seeing a video or something on a different site, I do have videos that have been posted to different sites because of different people, and then I have like a Steemit account and a VidMe. Well, VidMe went out of business. Vimeo, Dailymotion, and a few extra places where the videos have been put up. Andrew C. said, looks like I'm buying a book in mid-April. All things. It's good to know that someone will support the book. I'm seriously thinking about making the books like, I want to do a giveaway, but I got to figure out how to do that first off. But I'm thinking just to kick off the books to make them like only $1 the first 7 days that they're out. So that way it gives people a chance that would usually not buy a book, since I'm a new author and you guys are taking a risk. I hope you guys like my writing as much as you like the videos. A chance to see it and read it and review it. Craig Addis said, RV Truth is Russian Vid's new channel name. Pilgrim's Progress said, oh, Nixie said, Mindy, I live in NYC, but my ethnicity is PR. Pilgrim's Progress said, I pray you'll get over your fear of showing your face. I know it can be an issue. I don't like doing FaceTime. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not so much that like I'm always camera shy, but it's just like, I guess you guys gotta imagine this. It's kind of like, imagine talking to a friend, but they never saw your face for 4 years, and then suddenly you get to show them your face. I don't know, it's just awkward to me. Maybe if I would have started doing YouTube videos with my face, it wouldn't have been a problem. I actually did think when I did my first video, I was going to show my face on it, but the reason I didn't do it was because I couldn't keep my words straight. Like, I was 19 and I had a tendency to ramble a lot, so I wanted to write it all down and read it, and because of that, I didn't want to look insincere, like I was just moving my eyes across the paper, so I ended up just making a video with my voice alone, and I felt more comfortable with it. But, I mean, I guess when I'm on camera, I do feel a little nervous, but I'll get over it after a while. But I'll admit that I probably won't be able to watch that video I upload for like months because it's so embarrassing looking at at least for me, looking at myself on camera. Sorry guys if I'm scrolling too fast in the chat. Craig Addis said, Russian vids opened my eyes to many hoaxes and how to spot them. I thank him all the time. Yeah, I mean, he has really, like I said, he has really good and interesting content on his channel, and he's exposed a lot of different things. Hi, Mindy E, and I hope I didn't skip over any of like your comments from earlier. I don't think I said hi to you whenever you came into the chat. And I see she said, this is my first time visiting this channel. I'm loving this live stream. Thanks. And thank you for stopping by. Pilgrim's Progress said, unfortunately, a lot of truther channels are controlled opposition or funded by unknown sources for particular agendas. Yeah, I mean, that is a problem within the truth community, as you do have a lot of that happening too. And it does make it harder for us like to trust each other because anyone can be funded by anyone, or sometimes people end up being funded. Like maybe they started out independent, but because they became influential in some shape or form, they were bought out or they sold out. Craig Addis said, I'm a purebred mutt. Yes. Craig Addis, I usually like to see the person before I marry them. These jokes, Craig. Field Marshal Nays said, I've seen your pictures from your book profile. Haha. Anyways, I don't get why people obsess about that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think some people just, I'm not sure what you mean by obsess about that, but I'm guessing you're saying like, why people don't or do show their face. I think it's just because people feel more comfortable like when they see the person they're listening to, because it makes them feel like either they can trust them more, or they can't trust them more, or they're actually a real person, and like they're not an artificial intelligent robot speaking to them on the other end, or someone with a voice changer. Armando Beck said, I don't know Spanish neither, but in the future I will go back to school and learn. That's the spirit. I need to relearn Spanish too. Craig Gaddis said, yes, they are turning YouTube into another mainstream liar media. I noticed too, guys, that on the Super Bowl Sunday, it was supported by YouTube TV. I found it interesting that YouTube is now, like, hosting the Super Bowl. They were involved with the Republican primary debates. But YouTube is everywhere. YouTube, and I believe in the future, is going to be much, much bigger than it already is. It's going to become more corporate than ever. Josh S. said, do any of you guys like Timothy Castleberry? He's really knowledgeable about all sorts of topics. Never heard of Timothy Castleberry. What all does he cover? Craig Gaddis said, again, I see he's replying to Josh and David. Andrew C. said, I can barely do a 5-minute presentation in class, so I don't blame you, dazzling one. Presentations in class are brutal, though. It's like stand up there for 5 minutes and talk about the same thing nonstop and hold everyone's interest. Field Marshal Nay said, I think I'm ugly, but people always tell me I'm really handsome, so don't worry. Yeah, I don't see why you think you're ugly based on your profile picture. I think you look perfectly fine. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's not a matter of like being on camera and worrying about like people judging my physical appearance. Like if I got on camera and people thought I looked like a toad, I would just be like, oh well. Like, I don't know. To me, it's not really a matter of like, oh, are they gonna find me attractive or not? I just think for me, it's just like I feel like whenever I'm stared at, people are staring, like they're staring into my soul. And I get on camera, like my eyes and everything is on display. And then I also think about again, like, I guess my stalker already knows what I look like, because he has like, tons and tons of pictures of me and stuff. But for other people that like know me in real life who don't know about the YouTube channel, also, they could come across it and then figure out, oh, you have a YouTube channel. So I think that's another reason too why it's kind of scary. And I'm just a shy person in general. Like I don't really like a lot of attention too much in real life. And I see Field Marshall also said, anyways, what's important is your content. I totally agree with you there. I mean, content matters. I mean, over looks, voice, and all of that. For sure. And that's another reason too, is I'd rather the focus be on what I say and not who I am or what I look like or any of that kind of stuff. Hi, Gigi. And I see that Nick C said, I hate eyes looking at me and observing my soul. I skip class presentations or debates. Yeah, exactly. It's like they're burning a hole through your soul. They're just like staring at you. And it's always so awkward for sure. And like, next week I have to lead a class discussion for my senior seminar class for like an hour, and I'm like terrified of doing this because it gives everyone an excuse to stare into my soul for like an hour. But I totally know what you mean there. Hi, Sadie007H, and I see that she said, thesis depression, how do you deal with it? Depression? I'm not sure about thesis depression, but as far as like just general depression goes, for me at least, I dealt with it with faith really, and realizing that depression is just a hard thing to deal with because it just like saps your energy out. Like all the energy that could go into doing things productive, you don't feel like there's a point to it. You don't even feel like there's a point to breathing. Everything becomes way too difficult, and a lot of people that struggle with depression are mislabeled as lazy and uncaring and all of that because you just lose touch. But for me, what really helped was really having faith, really praying, even when I didn't feel like prayer was working. And and really forcing myself to try to engage in day-to-day activities, even if I didn't really want to, just to keep myself connected to life and connected to others so I didn't completely slump off into a hole of any sort. I hope that helps, that little piece of advice I gave Sadie. Craig Addis said, I've heard that Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc., all government run and controlled. True? I would say so. I mean, why wouldn't they run most of the mainstream social media platforms? Because so many of us communicate on them, we exchange information. So I think they probably do run all of them. They definitely all are a part of like the election nights, any Super Bowl night. They're always showing us what people are saying on Facebook and Twitter, or even how people are reacting on YouTube. And I see Field Marshal Ney said Google is controlled by them. And he put them in little quotes there, or brackets. And I'm guessing them as in the shadow government, the Illuminati, all the names above. And Craig Gaddis said, it's people's hearts that are most important in my opinion. I agree with you there. Josh has said he covers around the same topics as you other channels cover, but is focusing more on God with his prayer call live streams lately. I'll have to look into his channel as well, and I'm glad though that he focuses on God more, because I mean, sometimes it can be easy to get carried away and talking like just about the conspiracy theory, but not really offering spiritual advice or even just like how to become closer to God. Like, it's a hard balance to strike for sure. And then you have some truthers that are like atheist or agnostic, or even got witch truthers and new age truthers, and there's just a lot of different types of truthers. Andrew C. said, got them Jesus eyes staring at your soul with your sins exposed. LOL. Craig Gaddis said, they say speaking in public is the number one most scary thing for people. I have heard it a lot. I can definitely say I would agree with that. I feel like a lot of people do not like doing it. Like, I know people that are like really talkative in class, but as soon as they had to do like a speech, they became really nervous. Sadie's 007H said, writing a thesis and getting a stifling feeling. I hope that the stifling feeling like goes away or reduces. I can pray for you about that. Armando Beck said, do you think Donald Trump has a point when he mentions fake news? How much of it do you believe is fake? That's a really good question. I'm not one of those people that believes all mainstream news is entirely fake. Nor do I believe all mainstream news is credible. Just like I think there are a lot of alternative media that is more credible, but then I think there are some that is just as uncredible as the mainstream. I think the issue is that when he's talking about fake news, the way I look at it is the mainstream media has more of a narrative, or there's an agenda that they have that they're pushing using news. So they may tell you a story that really happened, but they put their own spin on that entire story. I do think, however, they can fabricate stories, or that's when we have instances like false flags or hoaxes. But I would say that I don't think that the news is necessarily fake. I would say that the news is heavily propaganda pieces, because again, with the whole Donald Trump thing is, Donald Trump is representing the conservatives, or like the new version of conservatives, and he's going out constantly against liberals and the leftist media. And I would say that the media does seem to favor more leftist politics, except, for Fox News. And they do tend to put a left-wing spin on things. But I also think that just like left-wing spins can be very problematic and very it would make us misjudge certain situations, having a complete right-wing spin can be just as dangerous as well. Like, I think news is news, but propaganda is where news can become watered down and what some might call fake. But there are actual fake news stories where like someone just makes a story about a thin air. Like, if I got a news company suddenly and I was just writing fake stories like, green dog jumps out of an airplane and commits suicide, like something crazy like that, that's fake news to me. But talking about something that really did happen, but putting a leftist spin on it, or a right-wing spin, I think that's when it becomes more like propaganda news. Sorry for the long explanation, guys, and running my mouth forever, but and I see Gigi said our motto, believe nothing you hear, research, research, research. Yes, I agree with you there. I mean, you have to critically think about everything. You can't just take everything at face value. You should definitely research. That's one thing I do when I hear a story that sounds way too outrageous. I try to look to see if I can verify it with multiple sources. Or if it just sounds like it doesn't make any sense, I just kind of throw it out as well. Pilgrim's Progress said Louis Vogel Sharp's channel did a good video speaking to those who struggle with loneliness. Thank you for recommending that video. That's something that definitely needs to be discussed more is, just the struggle with loneliness, because there's a lot of people, especially in the truth community, that do, and just everyday people that struggle with loneliness. They may be surrounded by a lot of people, but for whatever reason, they don't have anyone that they're very close to. Field Marshal Nay said, I used to hate presenting in high school because I was barely learning English back then, and I would get so embarrassed or when the teachers made me read. Yeah, it can be very nerve-wracking to present things in class, especially like when everyone, like I said, is staring a hole into your soul, or they're just curious and they're looking at you. Craig Gaddis said, I have a hard time looking and listening to Trump. He is so arrogant and prideful and has lied about all his promises. I mean, I'll agree, Trump is pretty prideful in his presentation and arrogant. He definitely took the training from the WWE days for sure. And Nixie said, probably the best live stream I've been in, Dazzling One, is reading every comment. You're doing you're doing great. Thanks. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, these things will show to be silly or just lie based on lack of knowing. And Craig Gaddis said, was talking to Kevin. Roused said, hi, depression is a side effect of all chemicals they force into us, anxiety, laziness, Alzheimer's, birth defects. Thank your government. They're behind it. I mean, I definitely think there's chemical components to, like, mental health. It's a weird for me because I always say this every time it comes up. I think some of it's spiritual, some of it is biological. However, pharmaceutical companies and they medicalize everything, so we will be hooked on prescription pills for the rest of our lives. We pay them out and we get billions of dollars. They get billions of dollars off of it. But yeah, what they're putting in the foods definitely could be affecting moods as well. Same with, like you said, or like others have said, chemtrails, and even what they're doing with like electromagnetic waves and all. Pilgrim's Progress said, depression is a spirit, so I pray that whoever's dealing with it will be delivered. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Pilgrim's Progress, for praying. Josh S. said, yeah, I can't recall another YouTuber who reads every comment in the live stream. Dazzling gets extra props. Well, thanks, guys. I try. I mean, like I said, whenever I do a Q&A session, I really do try to get to all of your questions unless I see, like, you're commenting back to each other. Field Marshal Nay said, what do you think about all the whole Black Lives Matter stuff and everything made pretty much a racial issue? That's a complicated question there. I definitely think that Black Lives Matter, like many social justice groups and even groups even in the like alt-right, I think a lot of them are funded by the same sources, like George Soros and other people that are wealthy, who have a stake in making sure that people stay divided. I do think there is, I wouldn't say that we live in a day and age of equality for all. I mean, I definitely think there's still a long ways to go in terms of racism, even, gender issues, and you got a lot of issues. You got economic inequality. However, sadly, certain times people take issues, they can create false flags, they can create hoaxes, and they can just take situations, blow them out of proportion, and play upon a real issue that does exist and create division. And it does anger a lot of people on both sides. And I mean, I guess that's where I stand on the issue. But I definitely think Black Lives Matter, like many of them, is funded by people like Soros, who don't really care much about Black lives or any lives. They just care about keeping people divided for the most part. I just skipped over again. Sorry, guys. Whenever I'm using my laptop and I'm touching the screen, so sometimes it rolls right past me. Pilgrim's Progress said, "How's school going for you?" It's actually going okay. I had like a test today. I have 2 tests this week, and I have a test next week. Taking 6 classes, 18 hours, just trying to make it through my last semester. But yeah, just a lot of work to do. I'm working on a project that I have to present, like we were talking about. The good and bad thing is when I switched from biology, I was doing a lot of like labs, which made me very anxious, and I was doing a lot of math and a lot of I was using a lot of analytical skills, and I switched to sociology, and it's a lot of reading, a lot of writing. I love to write. I love to read, but the presentation part is the nerve-wracking part, and I have to do some research with it. So it's keeping me really busy, but the Most High helped me manage to do the streams, do the videos, and somehow like I'm working with an editor right now on that book for April. But yeah, somehow I'm managing. But yeah, it's going all right for the most part. And I see that Craig Gaddis said, "Dazzling, I love what you do for us, and you're a beautiful lady, in my opinion. God bless you." Thanks. And I see Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, "Love her, don't get me wrong." I guess he's talking about me. We are all here for this spiritual war. She is amazingly smart, but we are all unwillingly hypocritical because in time views change and mature, causing us to go against what we might have once said. Not sure what you mean by that. What did I say that was hypocritical, or when did I say that people's views don't change? I'm just curious. Like, I'm not trying to argue, just want to know like what this is all about. Oh, darn it. Sorry guys. I keep on missing questions in the chat. And I see that L4RK, hi L4RK said, "Dazzling, have you ever had someone in your real life that you completely divulge information with, like what you do on YouTube, and you completely jive them with philosophically?" Yes, I do have people that I've done that to. I actually am really close to my mother and to my younger sister and brother, and fortunately enough, they share a lot of the same views on a lot of different issues. So I'm fortunate enough to have that like anchor and reality to share that with. And sometimes I do annoy them because, sometimes I go on and on and on and on and on and on about certain issues and topics. But outside of them, really, like my dad, it's a no-go. I can't talk to him about like a lot of these issues. He would just like completely shut down and accuse me of, just running my mouth for no reason. Me and my dad don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues. And he doesn't even know I have a YouTube channel. My friends, some of them know, some of them don't. The ones that do know, still, it's a no-go for many of them. Like, they're like, "Oh, it's cool you have a channel," but they're not really into any of this stuff. And outside of that, like, I don't walk around telling people that I have a YouTube channel. I completely keep it hush-hush for the most part. Craig Addis said, said, "Hip, hip, hooray for Dazzling One. Love you on. Honesty, Daz. Thanks." Kevin Arthur Zyminski said, "God bless you, Dazzling One, and everyone there. We're all family and can do whatever we want at any given moment." Nick C said, "Dazzling One, you're the real MVP." Thanks, guys. And I see Malibu Beats. Hi, Malibu Beats. He said, "Listening to you at work, doing double time. I started at 5 a.m. Wow. You've been there a long time. I think And I might be taking this just because your name is Malibu Beats, but I'm going to guess you live in California. Maybe you don't. So maybe you're a little bit. So for you, it'd be like 5 right now. So if you've been there for like 12 hours, am I totally off on where you live? And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, because I understand this is the internet. Field Marshal Ney said, George Soros and all the Jews in power are dividing us. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think, you have people like George Soros, they're Zionists, really, who don't really care about regular people. They just care about accomplishing their mission. And so they will use racial tension. They will use gender tension. They will use, even gay versus straight. And again, I'm against, I'm not for same-sex marriage or any of that or transgender bathrooms, but at the same time, even this whole animosity where we just focus on nothing but going after people, it's all meant to just make us, more hatred and more division. And even this liberal conservative stuff, like, I understand certain people have their political views. I'm an independent, so I have no shame in, like, congratulating conservatives or liberals when they get something right or when they do something wrong. Telling them, like, I don't agree with it, but there's some people out there who are just so gun-ho in their politics that they want to kill you over being liberal. They want to kill you over being conservative, and it's just like, whoa, slow down. Like, when did politics become that important? It's like a religion for some people. Sorry, guys. I'm like, I keep on, like, scrolling past the chat. Pilgrim's Progress said, what's the project about? Well, my project for schools, for the capstones, which is what, like, seniors do when they're about to graduate. So I'm actually working with an organization in my community to help them solve a problem. And so I'm actually working with the animal shelter to help them figure out about, like, how to improve their rate of adoption and, like, why certain people come visit but they don't adopt. So that's what my project is about, is investigating it and applying sociological theory to it. Andrew C. said last semester, lucky I got 3 more semesters left. That's not too bad. I mean, before you know it, it'll be over and you'll be smiling and you'll have your diploma if, the world doesn't end by then. Raul said, Dash, just wear big sunglasses during your presentation. You'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be totally fine until they tell me that I'm being unprofessional. But I totally love sunglasses, even though I wear regular, like, eyeglasses, so they'd have to be prescription sunglasses, or else I'd have that awkward look where I stick sunglasses on top of my glasses, which I used to do because I didn't have prescription sunglasses, so I would just stick sunglasses on top of my eyeglasses, and, like, my eyeglasses that I wear are kind of like, I don't know, they're big glasses. You got, like, the big kind of glasses, so I might have to have really big sunglasses. Craig Gaddis said, we all have our issues, and it's nice to share our experiences with others. Here on YouTube, you find people going through the same things. Yes, it is nice to know, like, you're not alone. Like, it's funny, the internet, you can almost Google anything, you'll find out someone had a very similar experience, no matter how weird it is. And Nick C said, in a hood, yeah, just put a hoodie on, and just put sunglasses on, and everything will be fine. No one will stare too hard then. With a hat, too. Pilgrim's Progress said, I recently had the realization that I don't think flat earth is the correct term because really it's the ocean that's flat, but the earth has too many elevation changes to be flat. Horizontal earth, I feel is more correct, or a better way to say it. It's an interesting observation. Sorry, guys, every time I have the chat where I want it, I scroll right past it. Armando Beck said, I was depressed in 2015 and 2016, and it was a rough ride. I just thank God I gotten past it. When I was depressed, it was as if darkness became my friend. It's like you start to like it after a while. No, I totally know what you mean. I mean, I've been through periods of depression because of, like, different traumatic events that have taken place in my life. And it's not a fun place to be, but after a while, it's almost like you learn to live with the darkness, and you almost learn to, it's almost like, it almost is your, like, new friend. It's weird, but I know what you mean, and I'm glad you got delivered from that. Craig Gaddis said, I have heard that if you imagine everyone in the audience is naked, it makes it easier. I've never tried that, but it's a weird thought. Yeah, I've never tried it either. I mean, I don't think when I'm standing in front of people I would want to match them all without clothes, just because I have a really good imagination and it would be really very, very like not cool to imagine that. Field Marshal Ney said, Dazzling, you should really talk about the West Africa Squadron, how it was the British Empire that abolished the slave trade. I'm tired of everyone blaming Evil Whitey for everything. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like historical topics on this channel, and even like topics that deal with like race or anything, that people. It's funny because like now you can't even say race and gender without people rolling their eyes like they think you're being an SJW. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they don't tell you in school, or people emphasize over other things, and one of these days I'll have to come around to like covering things like that. But thank you for the suggestion. And Malibu Beat said it's 6:10 in Cali. Oh, you're right. It is 6. So you guys are 2 hours behind Central Time. Okay, it's good to know. Craig Addis said, can kindness and love make evil powerless? I have heard just recently they have to flee. I've never heard just it being kindness and love alone, but I know that at least God's love casteth out all fears, so I don't know, but kindness and love alone without God, I can't necessarily say that I know if that to be true. Rouse said 9:12 in Florida, 68 degrees. I'll stop. Yeah, you guys are an hour ahead of us here in the Midwest, but I wish we had 68-degree temperatures. It's freezing here. Like, the roads are icing. It was horrible driving back home. It was like I was driving with freezing rain. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, LOL, that is where belief shows. God bless all here and repent. Much love. Just trust in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, Son of God, our Holy Father in heaven. I agree. Craig Addis said 6:13 in Las Vegas. And Josh S. said 9:13 in Pennsylvania. It's nice to know, like, you guys are listening from coast to coast. No, but really, it is nice to know. Well, I sit here in the middle of the country and talk to people that are on, the east and west coast of the country. And we're all in different time zones, but we're all in the same chat. Craig Addis said, I don't like those numbers today. I watch for numbers and signs a lot today. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, no time up here on the moon. It must be really nice on the moon. Either that or really cold. Just progression. Yes, I'm scared to jump. Craig Addis said, is anyone here feeling the 1,000 miles per hour spin that they say we're doing? No, I'm not feeling it whatsoever. Nick C. said, deep stuff. Chill out. I already have a depressing terrorism class. No more darkness, please. And Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, might end up in China when I hit the ground. Rouse said, flat is acceptable considering the curve. Malibu Beat said, when you do a presentation, you don't look at the people in the eyes. You got to look at the top of their heads, give an illusion that you're making eye contact, and only for 2 seconds. It's really good advice there. Yeah, because when you look in their eyes, it gets really weird, especially if you say something strange and you look someone in the eye and they're looking at you like, are you talking to me directly? I mean, I've gotten better at it where I look at people. Maybe not dead in the eye, but just look at them, and I just see how they're reacting to see if they're even awake or if I've put them to sleep. And Josh S. said that's what I do. But I agree with your advice, Malibu. Nick C. said, dazzling when you live in the Midwest, NY is like a freezer. And yep, I live in the middle of the country. Craig Addis said, how do we see partial moon in the sky at the same time the sun is out? Moon should be full, right? Pilgrim's Progress said, I'm Central Time Zone. Yeah. I guess we're both Central Time Zone. Rouse said, what happened to the continents around the North Pole on the map and Google? Why don't they let airplanes fly near it? And Craig Addis said, God is love and has amazing things happen to me when I go out with a heart full of love and miracles. Glad to hear that. And Marshall Ney said, I really like when you chuckle. Thanks. Pilgrim's Progress said, I would say just consider it a conversation just like you're doing now. No, it's true what you're saying. If you think of like doing presentations like conversations, it does ease the burden. Like I said, Tuesday I will have to lead a discussion, which means I will have to converse with my classmates. So that should be fun. And I see Craig Gaddis said North Pole has disappeared off globes. I remember it clearly. That's where Santa Claus and the elves live, right? Yep, that's where Santa Claus was supposed to live with his elves. And Gigi said, I'm okay, so I'm right below you, Daz. Oh, sorry, she said, I'm in Oklahoma, so I'm right below you, Daz. Wow. It's good to know, though. Like, we, we have people from all over. No, I do like hearing about, like, different states you guys are from. And I know there's been people from time to time that have come into this stream that are, like, living in the UK or Spain. But we've had people from all over. But it's cool to know just how many people, like with even just in the truth community alone, we're from everywhere. It's good to know that there's people all over the globe that are awake. Field Marshal Ney said Colorado master race. And I'm guessing he's saying he's from Colorado. And Pilgrim's Progress said you can do it. Thanks. I really, really will be praying before I go and do that discussion. I really don't know what to say because I have to keep everything very sociological. And Rouse said, LOL, I guess anything is possible. Andrew C. said, when there's nothing to talk about, hey. And Craig Gaddis said, I mean, really, the North Pole is not on the globes anymore. Does anyone else remember seeing that large white continent? I do remember, like, some old maps where the North Pole was on the top of the globe. Because, like, my sister's favorite animals are polar bears, and mine are penguins. So, penguins live in Antarctica. Polar bears live in the North Pole, so we'd always like feud over like who was better, penguins or polar bears, which was better, the North or the South Pole. So I do remember seeing maps of it. But those who believe in climate change will say maybe the North Pole melted off of the map or something like that. But I do remember it being on the map for sure. Field Marshal Ney said, do you watch PewDiePie? He's actually a really funny guy. I actually don't watch PewDiePie. I know what you're talking about, because I mean it's hard not to be on YouTube, and it's hard to be on YouTube and not know who he is. But when it comes to like a lot of the big mainstream YouTubers, I'm not really the biggest on like keeping up with all of them. I probably kept up with more story time YouTubers, probably because I don't know why. I know most of those stories are fake. They're usually all the same formula, but for some reason I like hearing stories even if they're fake. I guess it makes for good entertainment whenever I'm not like trying to stay awake and look into the truth. Pilgrim's Progress said, if I was in Pacific time zone, I'd still be awake. Interesting. Rouse said it's a globe. It's if it's globe related, it's from CNN. And Gigi said yes, in North and South Pole. Yep, I remember it used to be like North and South Pole on the map. But, they change maps ever so often to fit whatever, agenda they're trying to push. Josh S. said, this is random, but one day when I get enough money, I want to visit Israel and all the historical sites from the Bible. Same here. Same here. I want to go to Israel too. I want to see, like, all of the places where Jesus walked, the disciples, where different miracles were performed. It would be really cool. That is definitely a place I want to go, Israel. I want to go to Egypt too still. Even though I had nightmares about being in Egypt before. But I want to go to Egypt. I just want to go through the Middle East. I just want to travel the world. I always say, like, if I publish and enough people will come out to the book tour, I will tour the country. I'll tour the world. And I'll say hi to everyone. No, but I would like to travel, regardless of book tour or not. But I definitely plan on traveling one day to the Middle East too, Josh S. Craig Gaddis said, not just maps, Dazz, globes as well. Meegsby did a great video on it. Andrew C. said 7 more minutes before I leave the chat, unfortunately. And you'll be missed, though, Andrew, when you do leave the chat. And I see Nick C said, who else finds it hard to pray every day and read your Bible when you're in school? Any tips, anyone? Yeah, it is pretty hard to do so, like to remember, because especially if you're busy all the time. I just try to do it first thing in the morning or right before I go to sleep. Those are like the best times to begin your day or end your day. I pray about everything, like test, parking spaces, having a safe drive. Like, I pray about every little thing, so it makes praying easy for me, but it's reading the word that's hard. I just try to read the word, like I said, right before I go, or sometimes, like, when I drive to school, because I commute, I'll just, like, when I get there, pull out my Bible, I'll read it, keep a Bible in my car, and then I'll head on campus to go to class. Craig Gaddis said, I never used to have a desire to go to Israel, but today I would like to go there and see biblical sites. Yes, it'd be amazing. And Andrew C said the distraction of school is real. Yes, school is a huge distraction. And then once you're out of school, it's work. That's the big distraction. But yeah, they are real distractions. Field Marshal Nay said, Rob Dyke, Corpse Husband, or what kind of stories do you mean? I've watched some of Rob Dyke's content. I've never heard of Corpse Husband, and I was talking about story times. I was kind of stooping really low, like watching people like just I don't really have like particulars, but just like usually it's girls that just tell like random story times about like crazy stuff that happened to them. Most of it seems really fake, but I don't know why. It's the way they embellish the stories probably, and I get bored. I'm a writer and I like reading, so when people can tell a good story, as long as they're not like pushing it as news and it's obviously fake, then I can be entertained by it, unless it's just like really inappropriate or really insensitive. Nixie said facts. Egypt seems elite and too lit. Yeah, I mean Egypt is right now it's pretty I don't know what's going on as far as their government, but it was pretty crazy in Egypt for a while, dude. They got all those ancient statues from the times. Like I had some nightmares about being in Egypt and seeing some creepy stuff in Egypt, but I still want to go one day. Just have to be really careful. And I see Josh S. said, they found the real place of where Jesus was crucified and not the standard accepted place. Just look up Golgotha on YouTube. It's amazing. I have heard of Golgotha, the place of the skull. And I feel like it connected back to Genesis. I don't want to get the scripture wrong. I think it's Genesis 3. Pilgrim's Progress said, Psalms 24:1, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. The world and all its people belong to him, for he laid the earth's foundation on the seas and built it on the ocean's depths. In Pilgrim's Progress, I think verse 2 really gives us a clear picture of how the earth is. I agree with you there. Josh S. said, I watch Corpse Husband sometimes, but he doesn't upload often. Craig Addis said, it's so hard to believe history today because there are so many accounts of history out there. What is the truth? I mean, yeah, there are a lot of different accounts of history like being put out there now. And then you have people that are just, you have alternative histories. And then you have the idea that the victors write the history. And then you got revisionist history. Then you got the Mandela effect. It can get really frustrating for sure. And Josh has said, yes, it means place of the skull. In reference, I'm guessing, to Golgotha. And I see #.wakeup. Hi, #.wakeup. And Nick C said, favorite book of the Bible, anyone? I just finished Job and loved it. Learned a lot. For some reason, I like the beginning and the end a lot. I love reading Genesis. I love reading Revelation. Something about reading about the beginning of humanity, the beginning of creation, animals, as well as like how everything came to be, and then reading about the end. It's refreshing. But I like so many different parts of the Bible. But for some reason, those two books, like I, at one point in life, obsessed over, just like wanting to read them every day. For sure. Andrew C. said, Jesus is nigh, as in the days of Noah. I agree with you there, Andrew, for sure. Field Marshal Nay said, hey, are current Jews the synagogue of Satan that Jesus spoke about? Why is it that everyone's something anti-white, anti-Christian is being promoted? It's a Jew about it. I would say as far as like the Jews of today being first off, I think the term Jew and Hebrew are different. Um, and I think that I won't say that all people that call themselves Jews are fake Jews, but I will say that those in power that are quote unquote Jewish, I think a lot of them are definitely part of the synagogue of Satan. And the Hebrews of the Bible aren't necessarily the people that are calling themselves Jews, because anyone can convert to Judaism despite their race, despite their previous religion. And being a Jew is more of a religion than a race or a group of people or a nationality. Josh S. said Ecclesiastic is my favorite book. Armando Beck said, what do you think about the recent news about the government spending $22 million to investigate UFOs? Do you think they can continue hiding the truth from us? I don't think they'll be able to continue for very long. They can continue to twist it. I think what they're doing slowly is they're running out of lies, and they also want us to be woken up to what's really going on because they want to roll in the New World Order eventually. But whenever things do come out, they're always going to minimize it or say, like, even though they spent $22 million to investigate UFOs, they didn't find any alien life. And of course, they're going to say it's aliens. They're not going to say it's fallen angels. And it also kind of helps push the fake alien invasion narrative if it happens in the future. But I think it's interesting that they did reveal that information. It was like the end of last year. And I do think it's part of the programming as well. Craig Addison said, why doesn't NASA just take a real picture? Perhaps because they cannot leave low Earth orbit and missions are faked. Malibu Beats said, what do you think about Flat Earth? It's mainstream now, even on ABC channel. I didn't know ABC, I'm guessing News, addressed it. When it comes to like Flat Earth, I'm not going to say I'm a Flat Earther. I'm not going to say I'm a Round Earther either. For me, I did a video a long time ago, and I looked into Flat Earth, and I did find some compelling things about Flat Earth that did seem like it could be flat. But then I've looked into stuff that, I don't know, it's really hard for me to, because I'm going to admit this. I'm going to have a moment of pure honesty here. When you grow up indoctrinated with, like, NASA, and then you guys don't know this, I'm somewhat of a huge nerd. I, study a lot of science, big science enthusiast, even though I understand a lot of modern science is lying to us. But I did learn a lot about science, and so it's hard for me sometimes to push against what I've been taught, even when I know that there's holes in it. But then at the same time, I've also looked into like Hollow Earth, and I find a lot of interesting things that go into Hollow Earth, but some of it could be easily fake too. So when it comes to like, is the Earth flat? Is it round? I don't necessarily like. I'm not set on one theory over the other. I think people who get really fired up against flat earthers do it because it goes against everything they're taught and it makes them scared. I don't know. I do find it interesting though that ABC channel is addressing it, and you had B.O.B. the rapper come out and say the Earth is flat. You had Tila Tequila. You had all these, what do you call them? Celebrity, conspiracy theorist, truther type people. And when they push it, it kind of makes me wonder. But it doesn't mean they don't take advantage of something that is real truth and push it off as being real to discredit it as well. But it is interesting it made it an ABC channel, and even in my evolution class I'm taking this semester, my professor addressed Flat Earth, and he was in shock that people out there actually believe the Earth is flat, and I wanted to roll out of my seat laughing, because I just found it hilarious. Gigi said Psalms and Proverbs for me. I like Psalms and Proverbs as well, and I like Ecclesiastics, can't remember which one of you mentioned it earlier. All are good books. Pilgrim's Progress said 2 Peter 3:5, for this they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of God the heavens were of old and the earth standing out of the water. Sorry guys, I just caught up and then I just completely and in the water. Josh S said Genesis and Exodus is up there also. I like Exodus too. I like the entire Bible for the most part, but like I said, something about the beginning and the end. Craig Gaddis said, I think They are preparing the people for an alien invasion. Of course, it'll be fake and a lie. Government is full of lies. It's just like the media. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, "We are all God's people. Those are labels." Rao said, "I read an old Torah. It's pretty harsh. I just got started on Enoch." I really enjoyed reading the book of Enoch, although I know there's some out there that will, like, I've had people every time I bring it up that start telling me how it's not real scripture, it's not canon, and all of that. Craig Gaddis said, "Are we in one big storybook written by God?" I mean, and technically, we would be living in the days of Revelation or preceding the book of Revelation. Craig Gaddis said, "Are we in one big..." Oh, sorry, I read your comment already. #.wakeup said, "What's your take on staring at the sun?" As far as staring at the sun for too long, I worry about going blind. But I will say, like, on the eclipse Monday that happened last year, they got so many people to buy those eclipse glasses they got a lot of money off of it. And I was surprised because I'm like, why would I buy something I'm never going to wear again? I stared at the eclipse without those eclipse glasses, not like non-stop, but like I stared at them with just like general sunglasses. And I remember hearing people say, "Don't use your iPhone to tape it, it'll burn a hole through your iPhone." And I taped it with my tablet, but it didn't come out very good. And my tablet didn't get a hole burned through it, nor did my eyes. I didn't go blind, but I do think you should be careful about staring at the sun too long, because when you stare at it for too long, you do start to see like black dots and stuff, and you feel dizzy. But I don't know. There are some people out there who stare at the sun for energy or something. At least I saw that on an episode of Wife Swap once. There's like this weird family, and the woman would stare at the sun for like an hour every day to feed herself. TV, though, they like to make up a lot of weird stuff too. Pilgrim's Progress said, Genesis 1:9, "And God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters called seas." Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, "Hell, I'm not even an earther." Pilgrim's Progress said that the biblical definition of earth is something that came out of water and is simply dry land, according to Genesis 10. It's very interesting. #.wakeup said concave. What do I think about a concave earth? I never really looked too much into concave earth. For some reason, when I think of concave earth, I think back to that interview I saw between Understand Conspiracy and Lord Stephen Christ. I think that's what the guy called himself, and just like their debate. And I don't know, like, I never looked too much into it because of that. But I'm not saying it couldn't be true. I don't know too much about concave earth, to be honest with you. Andrew C. said, "The moment when you was only supposed to watch about 10 minutes of the live stream and you end up watching for an hour and 33 minutes now." Yeah, I'm sorry if I kept you on longer than you were supposed to, especially if you're supposed to be like studying for school or going to bed or going to work or something. Kevin Arthur Zyminski said, "I'm a spiral earther." Craig Gaddis said, "Dazzling, do you live on a pear like what's his name said? The shape is today all lies." Nick C said, "Microevolution is permissible in my opinion, but not macro." I mean, microevolution, I would have to look more into it, but I do think that there are some certain things within nature that definitely do change over time, but I have a hard time believing that somehow chimpanzees became humans, or apes, or whatever was the predecessor of humanity. Josh S. said, "I'm not an earther." Bad joke. Rouse said, "Watching sunset and sunrise will create a rise in your soul." I love watching sunset and sunrise. Those are beautiful sights. Pilgrim's Progress said, "Hollow Earth makes more sense for flat Earth because the bottomless pit doesn't work on a globe." Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because mainstream science says, beneath the Earth is like the core, and it's so hot, and you can't get to it. You can only dig it to a certain point. And I'm like, really? Who's not to say that the bottomless pit isn't the heated place in the Earth that people can't get to? Sorry, guys. I'm always losing track of the chat when I start scrolling. Craig Gaddis said, anyone feeling the 1,000 miles per hour spin right now? Just curious, when I used to drink too much, I sometimes would feel the spin. #.wakeup said, Mark and Pat and the Bad-Ons. I'm not sure. A dragon's Dracone. Hide a dragon's Dracone, and I see that they said no one falls off the earth. Josh S. said, what if the bottomless pit is space? That'd be really interesting to think of being sent to a bottomless pit that we were taught was above us. Pilgrim's Progress said, Luke 21:28, and when these things begin to come to pass, and look up and lift your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. #.wakeup said, I real I am one of the 144,000. That's why I see the demons and show them on vids. Do you make vids of your own? #.wakeup. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with your username. Josh S. said, I made the shadow projection with the eclipse because I didn't have glasses. Pilgrim's Progress said, it's a fact that the water is always level, so therefore the earth to come out of it and be in, by definition, it is a relatively flat giving topographical elevation changes like hills, valleys, and mountains. Josh S. said I could probably watch a 5-hour live stream as long as the topics are interesting enough. Yeah, same here. Certain live streams, I can just go on listening and listening and listening. I will lose track of what I'm doing. That's what I like to do usually, like with a lot of like truther videos or just like videos on YouTube. I used to like to watch a lot of visuals, but as I've gotten older and I don't need as much visual stimuli and I have things to do, I just like work to listening to somebody's video. I don't necessarily watch it, I just listen. Rao said 2 full moons and 1 eclipse in January. Mid-February, there will be another eclipse solar. This time, July will be far more epic. There is a lot of these like celestial signs and events going on like in the last few years, and I know it's commonplace, but it's just interesting for sure. January, that super blood blue moon. I didn't get to see it. I almost saw it, and then I went inside because the local news anchor, said it would be around later, and then I missed it. I was so upset. Craig Gaddis said, with all the chemtrails, we have a hard time looking for signs like God told us to do. Yeah, the chemtrails do cover up a lot of the stars for many. I think it's a little better for us out here in the Midwest. I mean, from what I've heard, people who visited out here in the Midwest, they say they can actually see the stars. I can still see the stars somewhat, but probably not as good as some people that like live in nations where they don't get chemtrails sprayed all over them all the time. Malibu Beats said, check out the show Altered Carbon. I think that's how the future is going to be, switching bodies like clothing, like the CES promotion. I've never heard of that show. That's really interesting to me. Makes me think of like transhumanism type of stuff. Nick C said, dazzling one was, what translation you read? Just curious. I honestly, when I'm doing videos, I read from the King James version because a lot of people are gung-ho on King James only, but I read all versions, King James. Sometimes I'll read NIV, but I understand sometimes things have been changed. I even have a 1611 version that I read from. It's Old English, but it's pretty interesting to read it, and it got the Apocrypha within it. Andrew C. said, all right, bye everyone, I'm out. Thanks for the live chat, Dazzling. God bless. Thanks for listening, Andrew C., and I hope that you have a good rest of the night. #.wakeup said, you subbed to me, girl. What? Did I subscribe, or are you saying to subscribe? Craig Gaddis said, great group of people here. Thanks all. Armando Beck said, I work in the morning, but who cares? Hearing your Monday night live videos is worth losing a little sleep because your knowledge nourishes the mind. Oh, thanks. I mean, like I said, if you guys need to go to sleep or go to work or do something, don't feel obligated to have to be in the live stream at the moment. I do appreciate you being here, those of you who do make the sacrifice or just sacrifice some of your free time that you have, since I know they keep all of us working. all of the time, whether it's a 9 to 5 or going to school. Pilgrim's Progress said, I mentioned the look up verse up because the Bible makes it clear that there's a clear up direction. Again, that works only on a flat earth. For there to be a specific direction. I'm really enjoying those scriptures that you're sharing, Pilgrim's Progress, because it does make a compelling case for it. Nixie said, dazzling one squad. Well, you guys are making me... you guys are buttering me up too much tonight. It's kind of funny. No, but for real. Thanks, everyone. I do like the hashtag. Hi, Truth Media Films Production, and I haven't seen or heard from you for a long time. What happened to your channel? Like, I'm just curious, but I see that he said, hi, Dazz, do you do spontaneous guests? I'm able to be online at the moment and really wanted to catch up with you and speak with you about things. I could really use a chat with you. Yeah, I mean, I do spontaneous guests from time to time, and I'd be more than willing to talk with you, like, if you wanted to come on air ever, like, on a Monday night, and I could give you the Hangout code, probably through email, because last time that I just put out the Hangout code, it didn't go too well for those who were in the chat, and they saw, like, all of the the spammer that came in, but, yeah. And I see that Josh has said, if you go out in the woods without any lights from your houses and stuff, the stars literally pop out of the sky. They do. I love the look of the stars in the sky. Truth Media Films Production said, never mind. I see you've been going for a while. Maybe next week. Yeah. Just catch up with me after the show. Like, you can email me or just send me a direct message. But yeah, I'd be willing to have you on if you're willing to come on and talk about a particular topic. That goes for any of you guys. Like, if there's anything you want to talk about on air, just email me, because I'm going to try to be a little more careful about sending out the chat code, just because I learned my lesson last week the hard way, and I don't want to learn it again. A Dragons Dracon said, Matthew 16:2-4 for signs in the red sky, Jonah. Nixie said, dazzling, when are your live streams every Monday night only? Yeah, right now they're only every Monday night, 7 to 9 Central Time. One of these days, if I get more time or my schedule changes, because I'm telling you guys, after I graduate college, I don't know what my schedule is going to look like. I can always move the date or even do multiple streams in a week, but right now I'm just sticking to the Monday night because that's what's been working since the beginning of like when I started out in September. Pilgrim's Progress said, I visited Egypt back in the summer of 04. Awesome experience. I'm so envious, Pilgrim's Progress. I want to go to Egypt someday. I bet it was awesome. Craig's Gaddis said, where's Niels Otteson? He is a researcher. Yeah, I was wondering where he's at too. I actually, now that I have a lot of you guys in here, I meant to ask again. So, like, I need moderators for the chat. I mean, right now things are going smoothly, so I don't really feel like I need a moderator, but if any of you guys are interested in being a moderator, just email me later or message me later about it. But I did ask him if he wanted to be a moderator, because for the most part, he's usually on all these chats, but he didn't show today. I don't know, like, if he was busy or not, but I know that he said he might have a problem doing the moderating because he uses like a mobile device. I don't know if that affects your ability to moderate or not, but I was wondering where he was at too. He is missed though. A Dragons Dracon said, love your channel, thanks. Craig Addis said, it's your voice, Dazz, that hypnotizes us perhaps. You have an easy voice to listen to. Thank you. Gigi said, especially when you live in the sticks, so many stars. Yes, there are so many stars. It's beautiful, though. I love it. You can just, like, lay under them and look at them. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, oh my god, a siren. a siren as in like a siren outside, or a siren as in the sirens that used to lure men to their ships in Greek mythology. Josh S. said, during the summer, I went to go camping more. It's good to get out in nature. Yeah, I need to get out in nature more. I actually have never been camping before. That's how, like, much I've lived in. Because I live in, like, a suburb right now, but I used to live in the city. But one of these days, I want to go camping, for sure. Truth Media Films Production said, yes, my channel was deleted. We'll tell you what has happened, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I was wondering where you went. I was really worried. Like, I was worried you got ran off of YouTube because you were exposing a lot of, like, the pedogate stuff on YouTube, which you were doing a really good job of doing. But I know that they don't like when people expose stuff like that. And I'm glad that you're back, though. And hopefully, like I said, whenever we do get a chance to catch up, we can talk a little bit more about that. But it's good to see you in here, Truth Media. Hi, Ann Cage. Nick C said, what's a moderator again? So a moderator is someone who, like, I would have, like, appointed. I could have maybe, like, up to 5 of you guys. If there was, like, a troll that came in for whatever reason and you felt like they were saying inappropriate stuff, like the last guy that was there last week when he was talking about all this crazy stuff, you would have the ability to kick them out, and you would just kind of, like, bring certain people, maybe, like, if I was skipping over someone's question, you could bring them to my attention. That's kind of what a moderator does for the most part, is they moderate the chat. Armando Beck said, do you think the media purposely promotes racism? I do think the media does purposely promote racism. I mean, sadly, again, like I said, I think they take real problems that have existed for a long time since the inception of the country, and they magnify them and pretend like they care about them, but really it's about dividing and conquering. But I do think the media does purposely promote it. But they promote it in a way as if they care and trying to stop it. In reality, most of it is just trying to promote it. And I see Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said they eliminate trolls. Yes. Hi, Alex Valdez. And I see that he's saying, what's up, Dazz? Bit late, but I'm here. No, it's good to see you. Like, you know, there's 8 minutes left, but I'm always happy to see any of you guys that pop in. If you pop in at 8:59, I'll still be glad to see you. Craig Gaddis said a moderator gets rid of nasty comments and boots trolls when needed. Yeah, that's what a moderator does. I mean, last time there was, like, only one troll in the chat, but it was enough to, like, annoy a lot of people in the chat, and I went back and I'm like, oh wow, this guy was just writing a bunch of trash in the chat, and I ended up kicking him out. But usually on the chats, you guys usually I don't get a lot of trolls, so I'm happy about that. But I don't know, if I have another guest on, I can almost guess that I'm going to get a troll for some reason. But like I said, next time I'll leave the Hangout code out. I won't leave it out there for just anyone to call in unless they ask. And I see that Kevin Arthur Zyminski said keeps the chat clean. Yep. #.wakeup said I would kick everybody. LOL. Yeah, just kick everyone out of the chat. It's like, there's no more chat anymore. Where'd everyone go? Oh yeah, I kicked them out because I don't know what I was thinking. And Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, LOL, yes. Lore, I'm only a kid. Nick C said, oh, good for teamwork on the moderator topic. Yeah, it would be like a form of teamwork. And K, should I work in a 6-week at a time inpatient testament center? We do psychodramatic body work to treat our clients. A lot of paranormal stuff happens. It's like the clients that are sexually abused and go through trauma have a darkness or spirit that attaches itself to them. I really believe you there. I mean, it's sad that, like, people that experience a lot of, like, traumatic experiences and who are abused, they do tend to carry a lot of negative spirits and negative energy, because usually the people that did it to them, they were filled with unclean spirits, and it transfers to those people. And I think that's how sometimes generational stuff starts. And I mean, it's just really sad to hear that that happens, but hopefully, like, with you being there, you're praying for them or, reaching out to them the best you can. Because I know, like, if you're there, um, treating people, it can be difficult. #.wakeup said, you will have the power. And Greg Gaddis said, I would love to get on a live stream with you and Nils and anyone else who cares about the truth of Jesus. Yeah, I mean, if, like I said, any of you guys have topics you want me to address and you're burning to talk to me on air, then just email me, tell me a little bit about the topic, and we can figure out like a time to do it. But I'm like really enthusiastic though about getting more of you guys on air, because as much as I love doing Q&A sessions, I also love interviewing or just discussing topics with people. Whatever it may be, as long as it's nothing like super inappropriate or offensive to anyone. Ralph said, so I may be hated for saying this, but I am all about seen. I can't make seen out of killing or eating animals. If you research this, you're not created to eat meat. Our teeth prove it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think originally we were designed to eat animals. I can't say that I'm a vegan or vegetarian because I'm guilty as charged for being a meat eater. I do respect the lifestyle of vegans and vegetarians, and if I had the strength not to eat meat, I probably wouldn't. But I do think, like you said, originally we weren't supposed to, but I'm not gonna lie, I still like eating meat. Craig Addis said, do we email you or give you our email address, Dazz? If you go to like the about section of the page, there's like an area where it says email, and I think you put in some code and then it gives you my email, or there's ability to message me and I'll try to reply and correspond with you guys over it. But yeah, that's how you get in touch as far as emails go. Josh S. said, it's interesting when the mental asylums from the 50s got closed down, they were almost always haunted, most likely the demons and unclean spirits that inhabited the people. Yes, that and some of the ones probably that drove certain people to like suicide too. But yeah, it is true what you're saying. There is that theme of like all the asylums from the 50s that do tend to be haunted, because you always see ghost hunters going into them and investigating tragedies that happen there. Josh S. said, it was only after the flood that God deemed we could eat meat from clean animals. Yeah. I didn't think about that too much, but what you're saying from what I remember reading is true. And Cage said, I work on a reservation, so we are open to traditional ways, smudging in the ceremony, or Christian ways as well. It's great. I can pray for them and share my testimony. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you can pray and share your testimony. Like the more, people are able to hear your testimony and just even, what's in the word and, from someone who believes, it can really impact them positively. Even if, they don't accept it right away or they're not willing to believe what you believe, you've planted the seed. And I think it's great that you can do that. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, oh man, med rare steak. Craig Addis said, okay, maybe for next Monday live chat. Richard Stidham said, hi, Dazzling One. I have been keeping up watching late Monday nights. Missed the live show. Yeah, well, it's good to see you, Richard Stidham. And Ann Cage said, I'm full blood Mohawk between you and me. Well, it's really cool. Nick C said, Dazzling One, how do I get notified for your Monday night chats? I don't know how to make the chats be notified. I'll say this. I need to get better about like posting when the chats are going to be. I usually post them Sunday nights or Monday. Sometime I'll put the chat up to be posted. But I don't know if you guys get notifications for the channel, but once I do post the stream, you just click on the bell and it will set a reminder for you. But I need to get consistent about posting the live stream. I should start trying to post them like every Saturday or Sunday, so that way you can click on the bell that says notify me for the stream. But I know if you're not getting notifications for the videos uploaded, you'll have to click the bell by the channel, and that should notify you whenever I upload anything. Rao said these animals are slaughtered in front of each other, and it's nearly the most horrific thing I've seen. They scream in fear, waiting their turn. Yeah, I hate the way like a lot of meat places do butcher the animals, and I mean it is horrific, and I do think that there needs to be more done in way of like cruelty against animals and just animal rights in general. And I guess the last comment I'll read is #wakeup. All you gotta do is give thanks to the food you're eating. Yes, that's very true. And thank you all for listening in on the chat. I'll talk to you guys next week, and have a wonderful week. Check out this coming Wednesday's video, and God bless.